we are implementing software and automations and templates for things. I want to use as little brain power as possible at every level of the business. The least amount of manual work that needs to happen, the more communication and automation that you have in the business. The moment you need to do anything more than once per month, that's a good enough trigger to build something for it. If I'm hearing the same question from an employee about something, I'm going to implement something for it right now, and I'm going to put out either an SOP, just a document explaining how that thing works, or a template that you can copy and paste and just change the customer name, whatever. It's small things like this that are really helpful. Standard operating procedures is a big thing. Templates is a big thing. Automations, technology, anything that is freedom. Standard operating procedures, checklist. This is freedom. That's scalable. I highly encourage, if you haven't done this for your business yet, you should start today.
If you could leave one comment or one word of advice to the entrepreneurs and business owners, what would it be?
I've been through.
Welcome to the Art of Kaizen for Entrepreneurs, growing 1% everyday podcast. Hello and welcome to the Art of Kaizen for Entrepreneurs podcast, where we get to discuss how to grow 1% every day in both business and itself. Today, we have David Katz, the owner of Trio Heating and Air, the first 3E installation in California. David has focused on developing a strong company culture by taking care of his employees, his customers, and the environment around him. Trio plants a tree with every new job they finish, and with over 11,000 trees planted, they are helping homeowners all over the Bay Area in California. Super excited to have you on the call today, David. Thank you so much for joining.
Awesome being here. Thanks for having me, man.
You know, the home improvement business is a treacherous business. I mean, I was in Florida for many, many years where I watched home improvement businesses, especially in the HVAC, plumbing, and roofing, pop up left and right due to seasonality and things of that nature. But they come up for a season and they fall off. To build a business like you have that has gotten multiple awards, it's developed a very strong culture and has serviced over 11,000 people in the Bay Area in California, it takes a little bit of a different standard. Can you tell me first how you started Trio, kind of where this all came about and how you got to where you are today?
Yeah. So my brother and I started this business back in July of 2021. I think it's kind of an interesting story because we never had any experience in this type of business. We've never worked at a company that did this type of service before. We've never had a chance to see the business model, never worked as an HVAC technician or as an HVAC salesperson in my life. And so we kind of found ourselves going into this because I had a restaurant. I started in completely different business. I had a restaurant in Palo Alto, and we kind of started this as a side business. On the weekend, we were doing duct cleaning and some maintenance work and stuff like that. It wasn't a real business. And we started noticing that a lot of customers were asking us about, that unit in their garage, the unit in, that they were essentially pointing out on their furnace or air conditioner or whatever it is. And we realized that we keep saying, they're asking for those services like, hey, do you also take care of this? Do you also take care of that? And we kept saying no to that. And that was a trigger point for us. The thing that we're saying no to the most, that's where the opportunity is. And obviously that's something that I want to encourage every business owner, whoever is any entrepreneur, whoever is listening to this, you got to always figure out what is the one thing that you keep saying no to either your customers or your employees, because this is the one biggest opportunity, the next biggest opportunity that you have both for your clients and your employees. So how did it start? At some point, we just decided, hey, you know what? We keep saying no to this thing. Let's give it a try. We hired a subcontractor. That didn't go very well. We hired the next subcontractor. That didn't go very well either for crazy reasons. I don't even know if it's appropriate to say these reasons on a live podcast, but we just found out that, wow, if it's so difficult for us to find somebody to hire to do that, and we would consider ourselves like intelligent people. I don't think I'm that dumb. Like I could hire a contractor, but it wasn't that easy. So it's like, okay, there is clearly a huge pain point in this industry. It's clearly really difficult for homeowners to, go through the process, vet people and find the right contractor, because you can go on Yelp, Google, whatever it is, take 3, 5, 10 estimates. Doesn't matter. Go through the whole process, sitting with everybody at the kitchen table for 2 hours and just drain your time. And still, after all of this, make the decision of who you want to hire, and it's still not going according to plan, right? I'm sure a lot of people can resonate with that. And so that's what we did. We came to fix a lot of problems in our industry, and we definitely wanted to focus on both the customer satisfaction, which is by far the number one thing in every company. The customer satisfaction, the customer service. And a lot of people are saying that they're providing this incredible customer service, but sometimes they argue with their customers about refunds. They don't have all the warranties and guarantees in place. There's no chance that a customer is telling us, hey, I'm not satisfied with ABC, and we're not going to fix it within 24 hours or give them a full refund for that service. It just doesn't exist at our company. So that was one pillar. The second one was the employee satisfaction. We wanted to make sure it's not just a place where people come to work, clock in, clock out. We've implemented performance pay for every department in the company. So the more the business is winning, that individual is winning. So they can provide better for their families, they can have vacations, they can have 401k and, health benefits and all this stuff that a lot of, HVAC, plumbing, electrical, whatever, home service businesses are not providing. So that was something that we did, that helped us with recruiting and keeping talent. And then the last thing was, okay, so we're going to have a great business. We're going to take care of our clients, our employees, but what impact do we actually leave behind us? What is it that we're doing? And that was in California at the time, there were a few huge wildfires. So it was a difficult time. It was devastating. I went to those areas. We've helped some homeowners in those areas, but it was really, really a hard time for people in the Bay Area going through this, especially people from the specific areas that were impacted. And we decided at that time, all right, let's work on that. Let's work on the recovery of those areas. Let's start planting trees. Let's do something for the environment. Let's do something for the beauty these areas used to have. And we decided we're going to plant one tree for every job we do. So far, we've planted 11,000 trees. And I think that's the short version.
David, absolutely incredible. The golden nuggets for the entrepreneurs, business owners listening to this right now. First thing he said, the money is in the no, right? What you're currently saying no to. There is so much money left on the table. I was recently reading something from Alex Hormozy that every business that he found to be successful compared to the ones that weren't, all had the same sales cycle, all had the same upsell, downsell, community development of long-term subscription. And it made it understand that every business has the opportunity to make some serious cash, but you have to understand where your pitfalls are and where you're currently saying no. David, amazing golden nugget. And then really that second point of making sure that you're giving back to your employees is so vital, right? It's developing a system that not only makes them feel a part of the company, but also makes it feel them worth it to do a little bit more, to go a little bit above and beyond, because at the end of the day, we build businesses as entrepreneurs, but our employees are the ones that are representing our company every single day. And if you don't have them in a position where they absolutely love what they do, they represent the hate to your customers, right? They represent the lack of love to the customers, and we definitely can't have that. So, amazing golden. And David, how ironic. We have a very similar background. I came from the restaurant industry myself. I owned a restaurant before I started a marketing agency. And the same thing, had no criteria, but just wanted to help people in a certain realm, and then found that it was the right way to go about it. Do you still own the restaurant, or are you just doing the HVAC?
So I bought the restaurant. Things happened very quickly. I sold it within 13 months.
Wow.
And it was just a few days before COVID was announced. So it's, kind of a lucky moment. I sold it for 6.5 times what I put into it within 13 months. So this was a jumping.
Yeah, absolutely crushed it. I want to dive in a little bit more, because from just what you're saying and just that introduction, you can tell that you care about the structure and the culture that you've developed within your business, which is such a vital part, especially for service-based companies, right? The stuff that you guys do every single day, crawling in attics, dealing with the heat, dealing with the cold, potentially all the things that come about the process of you doing your work is not easy. So again, when the employees are not enjoying the process, they don't show the love for it. Can you talk a little bit about today? Obviously, you said there's some commission-based structures that are put into place to make sure that they get paid. But is there anything else you do to create the culture within Trio?
So there are a few things. And we've talked about the why behind, why do you start your business? And I think it could be one of two things, right? And I want to be very blunt and honest about this. I don't believe that any person, I haven't met with a guy or girl that started their business because they wanted to take care of all of their employees, and that was the top of mind thing from the moment they started a business. I don't believe it. I haven't seen it. That wasn't how things started for me. It developed over time. At first, when you start a business, it's a personal lifestyle decision. It's something that you do for yourself. It's either because you have this idea that you're really passionate about and you just want to bring it to life, And then the hope that, you can work less, make more money, get rich, right? Those are kind of like the lifestyle decisions that everybody that's starting a business wanting to do. And then you quickly find out that's not how it works, but that's fine. Once it hit me is when I had about 12 employees, and then it started crippling me. I had a meltdown one day that I'm not doing well enough to be able to support the people in my company, and therefore they can't support their families, and they're going through hard times sometimes. And then it really hit me, the responsibility that I had, and my why changed. It wasn't the same why that I had in day one. All of a sudden, it was a different why. And then when we've developed the systems that we're going to talk about today, some of the cultural things and some of the performance pay and things like this that we did, once we took care of this, and all of a sudden, I can see that my employees, they're driving nice cars, and they can take care of their household, and they are taking vacations, and they can't take their wife out to, or husband to a nice dinner, and they can't take care of their kids, and they have something nice to do for Christmas and New Year. Then my why kept evolving to the next thing of the impact that this company is going to make on the industry. We just heard last week that we made it to the Inc. 5000 fastest growing companies in the US, which was surreal for me. I couldn't believe it. We did it in 4 years, right? We started July of 2021, July of 2025, 4 years, and we're on the Inc. 5000 list. And the why keeps changing, the drive keeps changing. But for that point in time, what we started doing is we did a few things. Number one, we wanted to grow the reputation of the company, but everything we wanted to do, instead of giving that money out to the customers or to more marketing or to things like this, we always were thinking, what can we do? Maybe instead of giving that thing as a discount or as a promotion to the customer, how can we take that same budget and allocate it in a form of a bonus or some incentive internally? And you can use the same amount of money and get such an incredible drive and teamwork towards the same target, rather than battling against whatever is going on out there. So to give you an example, we've had a situation a few months ago when we've noticed that our sales team were selling jobs, but they didn't care too much on the timing of when those jobs are going to get installed. So they would sell the job, talk to the customer, whatever that is, and it can happen in any industry. Yeah, and we can do it in a couple of weeks from now, no big deal, right? It did is our production team, in our case, in home service, our installers, found themselves sometimes with some days off. They didn't have consistent work on the schedule, not because we didn't have enough sales, but because the sales team didn't care about it. And so what a lot of companies would do in that situation, and I want everybody that's listening to this to try and convert this to whatever makes sense in their industry, in their type of business. Instead of saying, hey, let's give an incentive to the customer for a next day install, and say, hey, here's a $200 off for a next day install. That's something that a lot of companies would do. That's the type of decisions that companies would do. Let's incentivize the customer to behave the way that we want them to behave, instead of what we did when we said, hey, let's incentivize our sales team and say, hey guys, this coming week, we have this incentive coming up. Any next day, from the moment you sell, any next day install that you have, you're going to get a $200 bonus. The results that we got may have been the same on the output, on being able to install those jobs next day. But employee happiness, the conversation with the homeowner, the ability to take the same budget and help your employees to continue to grow and be motivated to the same target that you have, get aligned on the same mission. That's really what we're trying to pay attention to. So we're doing things like, our employees are getting $25 or $50 for every 5-star reviews that they get. We want them to get those 5-star reviews to give that amazing service to our clients. Performance pay for every department, even if it's your accounts receivable person in the company that you just need to collect payments. It's like, okay, well, how do I give them a performance pay? It could be anything. If your monthly revenue, not income, revenue is $1 million, you've completed jobs or production or whatever it is for $1 million worth of orders, and you've only collected $800,000, then you have $200,000 sitting that you haven't collected. Just to give an example, right? So that's 20% of that monthly revenue, not income. So if you could say, hey, for our AR representative, any month that we finish the month with less than 10%, they're going to get $500 bonus. Every month that they can finish with under 5%, they're going to get $1,000 bonus. And every month that they can finish under 3%, they can get $2,500 bonus. Amazing. I mean, you just paid $2,500 bonus to put another $180,000 in the cash flow, in the movement, in the progress for your company. So these are the little things that really push everyone to row together in the same direction. So I would say that as long as you're priced right to be able to support that type of business, performance pay is the number one most important thing that you can do to make sure everyone is rowing in the same direction instead of you being the only driver towards the goal.
David, just incredible. You guys can't see it on the other side. I'm over here nodding my head left and right because just incredible golden nuggets that you're putting in. First of all, the transition of your why, which I believe happens to every entrepreneur and they just don't really realize it. The moment that you had of, yes, we all start this business. Why? Because we don't want to work for someone or we believe we could do it better, whatever it might be. But there's something out there we feel like we could do better in the world. So we start our own company. And then you get to that position where it's not just you. You actually have a company, multiple employees, and you realize you want to take care of them, your why shift them. And congratulations on the Inc. 5000. That's awesome. Absolutely incredible. I have to ask though, before I get off that point, did your why shift today? What is your why today still to 100% focus on employees? I know that you had the why of bringing in the tree so you can give back to the environment, which is awesome because now you have a why of what to do with your employees and how to treat them correctly and also how to treat your customers and outward facing. Why that you've generated for the development of your connection to your employees is incredible. Yes, gamifying the system and making sure they're giving them money back and getting the cash that you would have put to incentives and in other places of marketing back into the employees and watching how that shows the teamwork, the integration, and the desire to make the business better. The why to help out the customers and the world around them by putting in new trees. But sitting today on the Inc. 5000 list, as well as building up this amazing business, what is currently your why at this moment?
I think that, so as of now, I have a few different things that in my mind are, there are a few whys. There is the why on the social aspect of my life. There is the why on the influence, on the industry. There is the financial why. There are a few different whys. So the number one right now for me as the company, as who we are becoming and who we're going to continue to be, is to fill the gap that there's currently in our industry, in the trades, between people that go they finish high school and they're thinking, okay, what's the next thing I'm going to do? And there are a lot of people that don't feel like college, like going to college is the right thing for them. They don't feel like, they feel lost. And I remember that period of time in my life when I felt lost and I didn't know what to do. I just knew that that's not the right path for me. And I didn't know what to do. I felt really lost. I'm one of those people, I have no direction and what's going to happen with me, and all of my friends are doing this or that. So there's this part of it. And the second part is, even for people that can go out and study and get a degree, a lot of people just don't know the value of going into this industry. They don't know that a person in their first year in the industry can make $150,000 or $200,000 a year without a degree. They have no idea. They have no clue. There was just this article on the Wall Street Journal that talks about plumber millionaires, right? For the first time ever, the trades are on the map. That people are starting to recognize. A lot of private equity companies started getting into, the trades in the last few years since COVID. Since, they found out that it's a bulletproof industry. And for me, the goal is to bridge that gap of understanding that there are options. You're not limited to either you go to college or you have nothing else you can do in your life. It's not college or nothing. And college is also not the only option as a career. You don't have to finish college and get a debt, that you're going to pay over the next 4 years, even after you finish, and get the next 10 years to try and, improve your career. Dude, I have salespeople and service technicians and installers that are making way more than what any person here in the Bay Area is making in the tech industry. I'm talking about, software engineers and whatever it is. Not that I'm, devaluing, their worth or value in the world, but it's just so unknown to a lot of people. So this is one of my biggest whys. Like, I want to make it a very sexy, very attractive thing for any person going out of high school, knowing that this is something that they can do. As long as you have the drive, the passion, like you want to do something great, we'll teach you and you're going to do fantastic. The second is the environmental impact. By 2030, I want Trio to celebrate planting 100,000 trees. So that's going to be the mark of us completing 100,000 jobs for our clients and planting 100,000 trees on their behalf. That's a huge goal that I have. And yeah, I think those two things are kind of like the main two. I wouldn't go too much into other things.
Dude, the first one is super powerful, super powerful. I mean, I believe the trees are also powerful. It's that accolade of 100,000 jobs, as well as giving back to the environment, which is awesome. But that first part of making HVAC, plumbing, this service-based industry more attractive to the individuals that are coming up in the world. To go after the individuals that are coming up in the world and making this service industry sexy is so powerful for two main reasons. One, the income, right? The income is people don't understand the value of the revenue that you can actually generate from being in here. And two, the necessity. We need this. There could be a million software engineers out there, but if there's no computer being built or no home being built to put in that computer, you're losing out on the base level trades that are needed across the board for people to really be involved in bringing value into the world. Having an air-conditioned house is probably one of the most valuable things you could have living in the Bay Area or I'm in Georgia right now. It's 95 degrees outside. If I didn't have AC, I don't care how well I can program on a computer, my AC would be the most valuable thing I could have. So I love the mission. I love the goal. I love the why. Let's go into a little bit of how you guys are doing it differently. Obviously, you're taking care of your employees. You're taking care of your customers. When you're going through your process and your systems, and a lot of the entrepreneurs and business owners that listen to this, they want to understand how you're doing business different. So I've seen everything from the home service businesses from being pencil and paper to full automated CRM structure where they're having everything handled from an AI outreach system to an automated email sequence. What does your internal process at Trio look like? How are you handling the customers to ensure that you're giving that customer experience that you know that you need, but also taking some of the heavy lifting off of the employees from the day-to-day activities?
Yeah, so we are big on technology. We're very big on technology and implementing software and automations and templates for things. I want to use as little brain power as possible at every level of the business. So it can be as big of, choosing the right CRM that is integrated across all the departments and integrated with your HR software, your accounting software, and your payroll software. The least amount of manual work that needs to happen, the more communication and automation that you have in the business. Well, number one, the less human error, the less stress you're going to have about potential human error, just keeping your minds clear, and ultimately less work, and it's money back in your pocket, right? Because it's going to take less time if it's automated. Now, this is one example, but it can be also as small as if there is a question that somebody in our call center received from a customer, and they know that if they hear the same question twice in a month, we need a template response for that. The moment you need to do anything more than once per month, that's a good enough trigger to build something for it. So say, for example, if I'm getting the same, obviously it's whatever is the most repetitive or whatever is the most impactful, that's what we're going to work on more. So if I'm hearing the same question from an employee about something, and I'm hearing that same question from another employee or from a customer or whatever it is, and it's a repetitive thing that I've already answered before, once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, that's it. I'm going to implement something for it right now, and I'm going to put out either an SOP, standard operating procedure, just a document explaining how that thing works, or a template that you can copy and paste and just change the customer name, whatever. It's small things like this that are really helpful. And people, I notice a lot of business owners that I'm coaching or I'm helping, or when people are coming here for shop tours to see how we do what we do, they don't give those things enough value because they're saying, why would I spend 2 or 3 hours or a week creating something or working on something that's only going to save me 3 minutes a week? And that is the mindset that I've had for a long time. And that was one of the biggest things in the business. It doesn't matter how much time it's going to take you to build it, and it doesn't matter how much time it's going to take you it doesn't matter how much time you're saving once you have it. The idea is the business is never going to grow unless you do it. Because at some point, that little thing that only takes you 3 minutes right now, if your business is going to grow, is going to, double and triple and quadruple in size, it's not going to be 3 minutes anymore. It's all of a sudden going to be 12 minutes or 20 minutes in your day, right? And there are so many little things like this. So it's 3 minutes here, 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there. So standard operating procedures is a big thing. Templates is a big thing. Automations, technology, anything that can save me the time of either not working on a task because I can just give a document to somebody else and let them be able to do it just by following the instructions. Video of how to do that task. Just take a quick video. Dude, I've spent so much time on making branded Yeti mugs to our top performers. And it took me 15, 20 minutes of it every time, but it was once a month. I've built a freaking, SOP and a video training for it. So now I can send it to anybody in the office to, order that thing and say 15 minutes if I don't have the time. It's just like, it's that simple. But you really need to first force yourself into doing things like that until it becomes a second nature and you're really at that level of being, that business owners, that entrepreneur, that it's just how you're running the show.
Well, I mean, I have to stop you there because the entrepreneurs and business owners that are listening to this right now, that is the definition of creating scalability. If you want to scale your company from 10,000, 100,000, a million to 10 million and beyond, you can't be stuck in the small tasks that create a lot of noise and little action. And that's where, David is hitting the nail on the head. Find out what is repeatable, make it into a standard operating procedure, make it consistent across the board, and make it less brain power to execute. Are you using, what CRM are you using? Service Titan, Builder Trend? What are you using internally?
So we're using Service Titan. I love Service Titan. It changed a lot for us because that's exactly what it's doing for us. It's all of the departments across the company are all integrated, all communicating, all the workflows, the automations, everything just falls into place. And it's integrated with, Paylocity, and it's integrated, with QuickBooks and other softwares that we're using. So that's really why we chose this software. But yeah, what you said right now, I have friends that I'm trying to get this in their head. They're business owners for many years, and they're still not doing that. And I'm trying to really understand why. Why are you not like I already told you that the solution. I already told you. I even sent you my templates just right off of that, and they're still not doing this. And I think it's just the lack of belief or lack of understanding of how to do it. And one of the things that we have to remember is, as business owners, as leaders, sometimes the process, and I'm going to say it just as it is, sometimes the process is just banging your head against the wall until you figure it out, until you understand how to do it. You're not going to know it. It's not like I sat for the first time in front of an SOP and I was like, yeah, holy hell yeah, I understand it. And I'm just writing an SOP. And the first time I did it, it was perfect. And I gave it to my employees and everybody used it. That's not what happened. I've created 20 SOPs and nobody used them. And they were all terrible and it didn't work. And then that's part of the process, but you have to start because that is freedom. Standard operating procedures, checklist. This is freedom. That's scalable. So I highly encourage, if you haven't done this for your business yet, you should start today.
I'm going to throw a book recommendation out there because if you're telling this to people, the best book that's ever articulated for me is Get Scalable. This one here by Ryan Diaz, literally step by step, an understanding of how you move from an idea to a full-on thought process that leads down from a standard operating procedure into a checklist system so you can implement it into your team. It's an incredible book. But David, I truly believe you're right. There's only 1% of the 1% of entrepreneurs that have the level of trust needed to develop SOPs, the level of thought process to actually go through each step and each if-then scenario that could happen throughout the standard operating procedure. But for everybody listening, this is the way to scalability. This is the way to, as David would say, the best word to use, freedom, true freedom as an entrepreneur. It's the most powerful thing that you can do. I believe as I've grown my business, I've realized that you go from an excellent service, maybe it's sales, maybe it's installation, maybe it's media bot, whatever it might be, to an excellent at motivating and guiding people, and then an excellent at building people into machines, multiple different people that come together to create this beautiful million-piece machine that executes things exactly how you would expect it. The communication style, the finished results, everything goes into that process and procedure. And once it is documented, it is repeatable. I mean, David, golden nuggets left and right. Really do appreciate you giving that information out. Let's talk a little bit about growth. I really want to dive in because that's what I get really excited about is growth. What are you guys doing today to grow Trio? Are you running a door-to-door sales team? Are you running digital ads? Are you running physical ads? What's your process right now to get the leads through the front door?
So for us, I mean, we advertise pretty much and of course we optimize it and kind of allocate our budget differently across different channels, but we advertise almost in every channel possible. Different allocations of the budget, but in every channel possible, because the way we see it, marketing and branding works like a fishing net. So if you have a boat and you have one person that's, fishing, then you might be able to get one fish and you put it on the boat, and the boat might be big enough to get a lot more fish. So you might want, a few people trying to fish, and then the boat might not be big enough. So for us, we've got to the realization that it's a fishing net, and every one of those marketing channels is a little string that makes those little holes between the strings a little bit smaller. And so more people that are going through the process of trying to find the right service provider for whatever the need is going to get caught in there. Why? Because they might see you in one place, second place, third place, and then on the fourth place where they see you, it triggered the conversion. So for any person listening to this right now, let's say you're advertising on Google PPC, on Yelp, on Thumbtack, on Nextdoor, Home Advisor, Angie's, whatever it is, on TV, whatever it is that you're using for advertisement. It is very likely that if a person is going through the process of consideration and trying to find the right service provider, the more times that they can see your name coming up in the process, the higher the chance that on some of those points, they're going to decide, oh, this company is everywhere. Like, I've seen them here, I've seen them there. Something about this makes you look more trustworthy. Less risk is involved when they see your name multiple times. And so for us, even though we have some marketing channels that are not converting as well, let's say if it's a magazine ad that we're doing, or a billboard, it's not supposed to. It's just brand awareness. So for us at our size, that's what we are focusing on. We're trying to focus more on brand awareness and just ads that we know are not going to convert customers, just to keep us top of mind for people. It could be mailers, it could be billboards, it could be a TV ad, radio, as long as you have the budget, right? And you allocate it in whatever way you can. And the beginning, you're trying to work mainly on, when you have a small budget, you're trying to work mainly on things that are going to convert leads and jobs and sales right now, because that's what you need. But every business is going to get to the point when they understand it's like, that's not the game anymore. I can't just generate new leads that just is going to see me one time in one place, because I'm losing so much more on the compound effect of them seeing me in many places. All of a sudden they convert like that, and they choose you as the right company to go to.
I'm stealing that fishing net analogy. That was awesome. I mean, that is gold right there, because you're 100% right. There's so much distraction in the world. The businesses, as they're looking up an HVAC company, they could see 20 to 30 different companies. And the only way to build trust with the customer to actually want them to go forward with you is how you're represented in those platforms. Yes, obviously, if your best friend comes up to you and says, hey, you got to use Trio, your trust goes from 0 to 100 very, very quickly. But if you're not getting a direct recommendation, what's actually recommending these businesses to you? It's the platforms, it's the billboard, it's the flyers, it's the magazine. And as that subliminal messaging gets into the back of the consumer's head, it's just developing that layer of trust, right? Where now, as they've seen Trio in the billboard and they've seen it in the newspaper, when they finally go look up, hey, HVAC company near me, and there's 3 people all running Google PPC ads, and it's Trio and 2 other companies, Trio catches their eye first, because they already have that subliminal message in the back of their mind of, oh, I know these guys, I can trust this company a little bit more. Beautiful, beautiful. I have to ask, going off of that, I know I'm going off. I had a whole bunch of different questions for you, but you got me super interested, because you're truly a top level entrepreneur. Is there certain KPIs that you're looking at as the CEO of the company on a regular basis, key performance indicators that you're keeping track of, especially with this omni-channel marketing approach? Are you looking at MER, marketing efficiency ratio? Are you looking at a total conversion of how many leads are coming in to close jobs, then close jobs to total revenue? What KPIs are you keeping track of on the daily?
Yeah, that's a good question. So for me, and I want to make sure I answer it in a way that's not going to that nobody would interpret in the wrong way as they're listening to it, because I know it happened to me many times before. It depends on what your responsibilities are within the business. So for example, if you're the owner or the operator, the CEO, whatever it is, but you're also in charge of HR and accounting, there might be a different set of KPIs that you need to look at. If you're just a CEO and that's the only thing that you're doing, that's different. If you're the CEO and like me, I'm also in charge of the sales department in the company, then there are certain KPIs that I need to look at. But if you look at the very high level, you want to check your revenue targets. Are we on pace to our revenue target? Cost of goods, and overhead. From there, you can really dissect it and go into more like, so once something is not falling into place, then you're going to look into. So for example, if I'm looking at our revenue and we set a target of $2 million in collected revenue for this month, I'm looking at this and I'm saying, oh, well, it's the 15th of the month and we're only 40% to pace. Then it will be a trigger for me to go out and see, okay, what's not, because I don't want to look at 500 KPIs and it's just a distraction, right? I want main KPIs, maybe 3, 4, 5 at the most, that are going to tell me what you should focus on right now. And that can come from your P&L, it can come from whatever way that you're tracking it. So let's say the sales are not there. Then I'm going to go into there and say, okay, is this a sales problem? Are we not selling enough? Is our average ticket too low? Is our discount rate too low? Are we selling but not completing jobs? And then I will go to the appropriate department managers and I will ask them for their KPIs. And their KPIs are going to be the ones that I'm talking about right now. And they're also only seeing 3 to 5 KPIs that they're reporting on, right? And so my KPIs as the CEO, maybe 3 or 4 KPIs I'm looking at very high level. The revenue targets, cost of goods as a percentage of that revenue target, overhead as a percentage, and maybe one more thing that I'm going to look at, say retention rate. That might be really important for me to look at because of our goals and targets that we set for ourselves. But each department manager have their own. So for example, if it's going to be our install manager, it's going to be direct labor rates. It's going to be their revenue per hour efficiency. It's going to be their callback rate. How many times are we going back to jobs after we completed the job? There are different sets. A sales manager would look at conversion rate, average ticket, average discount rate. The marketing person was going to have theirs. So we can really break it down. But it's really important that every person have 3 to 5 KPIs that they're in charge of. And as a CEO or as a leader, as a manager, whatever it is, you want to make sure that you're not diving too deep into other people's KPIs, which is very important. If it's their job, you are not supposed to look at how they're going to hit that KPI unless they really need that help. Of course, that's a decision, but they just need to report on it, whether if it's daily, weekly, monthly. I recommend at least on a weekly basis. At least if you can't do a daily, we do a daily huddle. Every morning, the entire management team, we're meeting at 9:15 a.m. in the morning for 15 minutes. Every person has 60 to 90 seconds to present their numbers from the day before, what they're projecting to do today, what their commitment is for what they're going to execute on today, and what their pace is for the month, for the target that we set for the month. 60 to 90 seconds. That's it. We all hear each other. We all know what we need from each other. We go and we know what do we need to do to win the day. And then on a weekly meeting that we have, a leadership meeting, we're talking about, okay, how are we doing the trailing 7 days? How are we doing month to date? And we're having a bigger conversations about those things. But every person in this meeting is reporting on those 3 to 5 KPIs.
For every entrepreneur and business owner, listen to this right now. I don't care if you're at the degree of, I don't even know what a KPI is, or at the degree of, I've looked at every single KPI within my business. These are the foundation blocks that develop a successful and profitable company. I repeat, profitable company, because what David just says, he's looking at his numbers and saying, am I profitable? And if I'm not, how do I fix that issue? And if you don't know it's an issue, you're not putting your effort and time to fix it. And us as entrepreneurs, We prove it by building a business that if we put our mind to something, we can be successful at it. So sometimes we just need to put our mind to the right data, and the KPIs, or key performance indicators, are going to tell you where your problem is and where you need to put your focus. David, I mean, just pure gold, right? I mean, I think we've addressed a lot of the things that we're going into for your overall business, right? The structure of why you've put it together, the understanding of how you've built your culture and how you treat your customers, the employees, the world around you, as well as your dreams and your visions going for the future. And I love it. I got to get into your head a little bit more now. I have to understand, Dave, because I'm very interested now. I'm very interested.
Yeah.
I want to, if I say, what is your Kaizen? Could you tell me what you're doing on a daily basis to make sure that you're constantly improving? Obviously, you're looking at the KPIs for your business, but how do you keep yourself motivated and on the cutting edge and ensuring that you're not dropping the ball anywhere as you're looking at the right data and that you're pushing and progressing you and your business every day?
I'm definitely dropping the ball, Kyle, on many things. I'm definitely dropping the ball so much in so many places. And that's just part of, in a company. If I would have the expectation of myself or anybody that I'm working with to never drop any balls, I mean, that's just, we're not moving fast enough. So we're taking on a lot of new projects, sometimes simultaneously. It's stretching our minds in different directions, and we still hold each other accountable to deliver that high performance. I think that for me, one of the things that I've realized, I had to find out what was my limit point of how far I can go mentally before I'm going to have a complete breakdown, right? And I didn't know really that I have that limit. So I kept stretching and stretching and stretching nonstop until it hit me one day. And then it was pretty scary, the mental state that I found myself in. And now that I know where that point actually is, I know when I'm getting close to it and to put a little bit of a break on it and really take a couple of days off, or really try to slow down a little bit just so I can get myself to the right mental state so that I'm the right leader for my team. And I'm not just this upset, short-tempered person. Like, you don't want to be that person in your company. And so you have to learn yourself and know how do you do this. And sometimes for me, it's just I put reminders on my schedule. Show gratitude to your team today. And all of a sudden I show gratitude to the team today instead of just talking to them about their KPIs, and just say how much I love, the effort, and how much, I know that they care. And all of a sudden it changes everyone's day, and then it changes their performance, and then it changed my day. So small things like this can help, because it's not going to come naturally, because you're always stressed as the founder, you're always stressed as the CEO, as the GM, and you're always seeing the negative in everything. And so, because that's why you are who you are. That's why you want to drive performance. You want to fix things. That's where your happiness is coming from. But then it's also going to potentially create negative culture in the business, right? So you have to learn that part. You have to learn yourself. You have to have somebody holding you accountable. It can be a coach. It can be, in my case, I have my business partner, who is also my brother, my CEO. So he will tell me things straight to my face, what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong. And it's hard to take feedback, but you have to take feedback. I am not the same person I was 2 months ago. I'm not the same person I'm going to be in 2 months from now. I have to constantly evolve. Another part of it is that I'm seeing a lot of people failing at every level of life. Doesn't matter what your position is. They don't reward themselves. And I think that subconsciously, it hurts their motivation more than they can comprehend. So I'm going to say something really big right now. I want to release into this. One of my guys said, if I'm going to make that much sales and I'm going to get to this revenue and this commission and this I'm going to buy myself that car or that Rolex watch or whatever it is that they want. It could be something materialistic. It could be taking your wife to a vacation. It could be going on a trip with my dad, that thing that I've always wanted to do. And then they get there, and I see it happen all the time. They get there, and then they don't reward themselves with the thing that they said that they're going to do. Because all of a sudden, once they get there, it doesn't seem as important as it was before I got there. So maybe it was some sort of like a fake target, right? But the thing that happens with that is, if you don't reward yourself, the way that you said you would, subconsciously you're teaching yourself that your targets are not real and that the rewards are not real as well. And what's going to happen, and this is why I'm saying subconsciously so many times, because people don't understand how deep the internal impact is, to the level that a lot of people can't comprehend this thing. And so it's very, very important to hear this, because when I've heard it about myself for the first time through one of my friends, who is a general contractor that I really admire his thinking process, and he told me that, hey, you said that you're going to do such and such. You said that you're going to get that car as soon as as ABC is happening, and then you didn't. You have no idea what you're doing to yourself right now. You have no clue. You think that it's so basic. It's really not basic. You just taught yourself something really bad about yourself. And slowly your motivation is going to decrease, because subconsciously those targets aren't real and the reward isn't real. So I think that's a really, 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 really important thing to do. If you said you're going to do something for yourself or for somebody, and you set it as a target and you got there, please do it. Please do it. You have to reward yourself. You have to do that thing for yourself. I don't know how to emphasize this.
No, that's a golden nugget and a half, David. I mean, that's something that, I'm sitting here realizing that I've probably done that to myself a few times, right? Just continue to push, to continue to grow, continue to go forward. And then the burnout always comes in, or you're a little more edgy, you're a little more aggravated. You're not as appreciative for your business and the people around you, because in the back of your mind, you were waiting for that payout, waiting for the payout, and the payout just never came. So that resentment starts building up in you, and you don't even realize that. I mean, for every entrepreneur and business owner listening to that right now, I hope you just took a deep breath and you thought about, what have I not cherished? What have I not given myself for the accomplishments that I've gone after? Because the one thing I've realized, just like you, is that, going and repeating your affirmations or repeating the positivity in your life will only bring more positivity. It helps. Living in the negative will bring more negative. So that you're taking it the step further of not just living in the positive, but rewarding yourself when you do hit that positive of what you promised yourself you were going to do. Super powerful. And I love the first part of pushing yourself to the boundaries of knowing when you're going to break yourself into a point where you know that you can't get there, and then understand where that line is and continue to push. And then the final one, which I believe we all need, is that mentor, that person that holds you accountable. That if you're talking to an AI system, or talking to your brother, or talking to a business coach, it doesn't matter. You have to be, it's just like going to the gym by yourself. The first 2 to 3 weeks, you're super motivated, you're crushing it. But when you're 3 years into the gym doing it by yourself every day, it just becomes monotonous, right? You're not hitting a new PR. You're not going harder. You're just finding yourself going into the same motion, because there's nobody setting the expectation to do more. I've seen it in business a million times, where companies are doing $1 to $2 million a year. They're paying themselves out $100,000. They're able to survive. They're okay. And their employees want more. Their customers want more, but they just not pushing themselves, because there's just no reason to. Where a mentor or a coach or someone that just says, you can be better, do better, will push you to that next level of not only excellence, but I think the next level of enjoyment in life. So I love every part of that, David. The last question I have for you here. You've left a bunch of golden nuggets, a bunch of great information for our listeners here, from everything of how to gamify your internal employee process so that they want to work harder, to how to make sure you build a scalable business by structuring SOPs. If you could leave one comment or one word of advice to the entrepreneurs and business owners listening to this right now, what would it be?
So I've been through some, times in the business where it always seems like it's not going anywhere. Like I'm putting all this time and all this effort, and things are not working out, and I'm having this really crazy hard day, and crazy, I'm still not profitable, and that employee left, and this happened and this happened. It always feels like everything is kind of working against you in a way in business. It's like the vendor increased their cost, and the utility bill, and all of a sudden that machine breakdown or car breakdown or whatever it is that can happen. We just have to really understand that it is part of the process. And if you put one thing in your head that is really going to help you through this, is the harder it is, the better it is for you. Why? Because there are no two business owners in the same industry that aren't going through the same struggles. And so for you as a business owner, your goal is to be the best, is to beat your competition, right? And it doesn't have to be in any bad way. It's just fair business dealing. That's how it is, right? You want to be the best. You want to crush your competitors. And if you just dealt with a problem, whatever that problem is, that means that there is another business owner somewhere out there that is competing with you, that is dealing or just dealt or will deal with the same problem. And so if you just put that in mind, that every problem that you have is the best thing that can ever happen to you, because that means that my competitor is also dealing with this. So all I need to do is to deal with it just a little bit better. Then all of a sudden, those problems, those difficult days that you're experiencing, that they're also experiencing, becomes the stepping stones. And you know that thing that you needed for growth, you just need to overcome that day. You just need to overcome that obstacle. You just need to get through that problem. And at some point on the way, your competitors are not going to, or you're not going to do it as good as you. So just, you got to believe in yourself. Show gratitude in the morning when you wake up. Start your day with a little bit of gratitude, some words of affirmation when you wake up, and just know that every little problem, every hard day, your competitors are dealing with this, and you're going to do this just a little bit better. And that problem is the best thing that ever happened to you. That employee that filed a lawsuit against your company, guess what? That huge problem is going to make your company so much better. That the worst employee that you've ever had made your company way better than what it was before that worst employee. That worst customer experience that you've ever experienced with a client is going to make your company so much better. Without those worst experiences, you are not going to get better. So just reframe your mindset. It's going to give you a lot of motivation. It's going to give you a lot of drive to keep pushing forward. Just remember, you got this. Every day, you got this.
I'm officially a huge fan of David Katz from Trio Heating and Air. Thank you so much for the time. If someone is in the Bay Area and they're looking to use your service or connect you in any way, how can they find you?
So first of all, they can reach out to my email, and I have my assistant reviewing my emails every day and scheduling, one-on-one meetings with me. I don't charge for it, not now, not in the future. I help a lot of business owners with anything they need in any industry. So my email is my first name, David, at trioheatingandair.com, which is our website, trioheatingandair.com. So just my first name at trioheatingandair.com. I can get on a one-on-one with you. I've had a guy from Canada, ask me to send him SOPs for our call center, how we do things in our call center. And I made it a thing that they're going to get those SOPs within 2 minutes from the time that they sent the message. You know why? Because a lot of people that are taking that step are thinking that, oh, this person is probably not going to respond. That's a long shot. It might happen, it might not, yeah, whatever. But I made it a point that every person that's reaching out to me is going to get the fastest answer they could ever imagine. So I encourage everybody that's listening to this, do reach out, especially if you're going through a hard time. I will be there for you. I will support you, and you'll be surprised how many people will do the same thing. So reach out to me via email. I'll help you out. Another thing that we're doing is any company of any industry, including competitors down the street from us, our doors are open for shop tours. And if you just schedule with me at least a week in advance, you can take the full day here, bring your team here, and sit with any manager from any department. We're an open book. You can look at our P&L. You can look at how much we charge. You can look at how we pay our employees. You can look at what software is used, what marketing company, we're working with. You can look at, we're an open book. There is nothing that you can ask that is going to be too much. It's really all about implementation, and I would love to see the market growing. So yeah, feel free to reach out and we'll help out.
What an incredible offer. That information, his email will be found below in the description. Again, David, thank you so much for your time. If you guys have finished this podcast, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next Kaizen podcast.